Chapter 1236, Nonagon Bulwark. After rushing fast to the ninth deserted island, the peripheral members of the Tang sect had arrived and guarded it. Tang Xiu's expression slightly changed the moment he arrived, since he could sense a faint trace of magi magic in the air. Was it the Dark Shaman clan or the Celestial Wizard clan? He took a deep breath and, after analyzing the scene for a while, he finally excluded the former, since the bodies here were all blonde and blue-eyed foreigners. They were definitely not from the Dark Shaman clan. Further, he knew the strength of this clan; they wouldn't dare to oppose him. It was the Celestial Wizard clan, huh? Killing intent surged in Tang Xiu's heart, and he summoned a dozen core disciples of Tang's sect from Nine Dragons Island, and then issued an order to find Chen Zhizhong. However, there was no trace of Chen Zhizhong, even though all the disciples of Tang's sect had thoroughly searched all channels for 2 days. Even the Tang sect's disciples who were assigned by Tang Xiu to buy the information from the Dark Wind for $100 million didn't get any information at all. Saipan. Master. Little Blind, wearing black sunglasses and a walking stick, arrived under the escort of 2 Tang sect's disciples. Tang Xiu, who was at a loss of finding any clues at the moment, frowned upon seeing Little Blind, who came here all of a sudden. He asked, "Why are you here?" Little Blind replied, "I saw a bloodlight calamity signed to befall Senior Brother Chan, Master. But I was just curious back then as to why would Senior Brother Chan would have such an omen even though he was staying on Nine Dragons Island. Only now do I finally realize the cause." Tang Xiu's expression slightly shifted and asked, "Why didn't you tell me about it in advance?" "I cannot see through the trajectory and branching of your fate, Master, so I dare not to tell you." Little Blind explained, "Else, I just disrupt Senior Brother Chen's fate trajectory once you step in then." Tang Xiu gave it a though and then asked, "Can you find him now?" Little Blind shook his head and said, "I can't. But someone else can." "Who?" Tang Xiu's expression shifted. "I don't know who that person is, but I know that he should be a wizard who has a Sing name." Sing. After thinking about it for a while, Tang Xiu realized the identity of the said person. He then took out his cell phone and dialed Singluan's cell number, who was now the current patriarch of the Dark Shaman clan. "Are you looking for me, boss? I need the news about my disciple, Chen Zhizhong. Some people captured him," Tang Xiu said. "Who could be so bold as to dare to capture someone from Tang sect?" Singluan was surprised. "I have no idea either. That's why I called you. Do you have any clues?" Tang Xiu replied. "Do you perhaps think that I sent some people to capture him, boss?" Singluan replied with a bitter tone. "I'm your underling and Chen Zhizhong is my partner. I have no motives or reason to capture him." "I already know that neither you nor your Dark Shaman clan is the culprit," Tang Xiu said. "But those who captured him definitely used magi art. Further, someone also gave me a hint that you can shed some light on this matter." "Magi art?" Singluan gave it a thought and asked, "Where was Chen Zhizhong taken away, boss?" "The ninth deserted island," Tang Xiu answered. "I remembered something," Singluan hurriedly said. "A group of people came to Thailand 4 days ago, and its leader claimed that they are from the Sacred Flame organization. They wanted to cooperate with the Dark Shaman clan to carry out a big plan. However, I directly turned them down since this Sacred Flame group made me wary. Further, there are some people among them who are also proficient in wizardry." "Tell me about this Sacred Flame organization," Tang Xiu said. "This Sacred Flame is quite mysterious and similar to the Dark Wind. However, they are not engaged in intelligence-gathering work, but are kind of like mercenaries." Singluan said, "This organization usually gathers many experts among their ranks to carry out a mission once they accept a job from their clients. But if their target is too strong, they usually invite some other forces to carry out the job. Their members are scattered around the world to live their own lives, but nearly all of the Sacred Flames people who came to my Dark Shaman clan are Europeans." Do you know how to find and contact this organization? Asked Tang Xiu. Saipan, Dame area, or something. They told me to take my men to the Clearwater and Code in Dame area of Saipan if I change my mind, Singluan said. I see. Tang Xiu then hung up and looked at Little Blind in front of him, asking, how is your cultivation now? The late stage of foundation establishment, master, Little Blind answered. Tang Xiu frowned. Your cultivation speed is a bit appalling. Little Blind hesitated before he replied, I only spent a very short time on cultivation, master. Mainly because of spending my time to cultivate my perception and mental power. That's why my cultivation speed is a bit slow. Tang Xiu scrunched up his brows and asked again, how powerful is your mind power now, then? I can see all the sceneries within a kilometer radius and move a 100 kilograms object with only my mind power, Little Blind replied. However, there are also some exceptions. My perception can cover a few kilometers under the sea and I can restrain an adult blue whale. Tang Xiu was dumbfounded and looked at Little Blind incredulously. Little did he expect that Little Blind had cultivated his mind power to this level in such a short time. There were indeed some people who cultivated spiritual power in the immortal world, and those immortals who cultivated it to an advanced level were able to destroy a planet or even a galaxy with only a single thought. That was also the reason why a unique title was given to these people, Psychic Seraph. Could it be that Little Blind had the potential to be a Psychic Seraph in the future? Tang Xiu patted his shoulder and said, your mental power is improving fast and it's beyond my expectation. However, you can't spend too much of your time on spiritual power cultivation in the future since your own cultivation is also very important, else your body won't be able to contain your spiritual power once it reaches a certain level. Further, it will also waste your unique constitution. My constitution? Little Blind wondered and asked again, do I have a good constitution, master? Very. Tang Xiu nodded and explained, you have a very rare constitution, one that is extremely difficult to find even in billions of years. Given your constitution, you could have become at least a golden core stage expert by now if you practice hard. There is a record about your constitution in ancient records, undying blood within the veins and unperishable energy within the bones. That's the description of the Frost constitution, with blood in the veins and energy in the bones. Pay attention and be diligent in your cultivation later since you have the potential to be the most powerful person in the whole Tang sect. I'll listen to your instruction, master, Little Blind said. When I become the strongest in the future, I'll then be able to protect you. Tang Xiu patted his shoulder and chuckled. Protecting me is just secondary. As long as you can break through to the nascent soul stage, your eyes will be able to see the light again. Reaching this stage will also make you able to remold your physique and you will no longer have an 8+ years old appearance, so you can restore your physique according to your age. Seeing the light again? Little Blind was shaken inwardly and firmly nodded. I understand, master. After the 2 Tang sect disciples escorted Little Blind back to Nine Dragons Island, Tang Xiu brought the remaining disciples to the Clearwater Encode building in Dame area of Saipan at a very fast speed. Halfway there, a group of intel operatives then appeared in the vicinity of Clearwater Encode and kept sending updates about the situation there. Half an hour later, when Tang Xiu came outside the entrance of Clearwater Encode, a disciple of Tang sect silently appeared before him and respectfully reported, Sect Master, we have figured out the situation inside. Of the 4 male and female experts here, one of them is a local expert while the other 3 are experts from some European countries. We were almost discovered by them when we snuck inside. No more hiding, just rush in to get them under control, ordered Tang Xiu in a deep voice. Affirmative. Tens of figures flickered in a flash and quickly appeared in the interior of Clearwater Encode. After a short fight, 4 blonde Caucasian men and women who had been severely injured by the Tang sect disciples were captured. Who are you, people? You trespassed a private residence and violated the U.S. laws, a tall, blonde man yelled angrily. Tang Xiu came to his front and a dagger instantly appeared in his hand. A cold light flashed and swept the ears of the white man. Amid the shriek of the white man, Tang Xiu coldly asked, "Where's Qin Zhizhong?" The man's expression changed. He immediately shook his head. "I have no idea what you're talking about." Tang Xiu grabbed his arm and cut off his right hand with the dagger, then asked again, "You got many parts on your body and I got time to interrogate you slowly. I want to see to what extent of pain you can bear every time I cut off your body part." "Just kill me," the big man roared loudly while enduring the rending pain. "Nope." Tang Xiu shook his head and said, "I'm proficient with thousands of torture methods. I can guarantee that you will always taste the feeling of wishing to die while being still alive in the next 3 months. Let's see whether you got some iron bones or my interrogation methods are more awesome." Crack. Tang Xiu suddenly punched the man's cheek. As the man's teeth shattered, he landed a series of punches again and knocked all his teeth off. Then, he sneered. "I told you that I don't want to make you die. You can never die even if you try to commit suicide desperately. I'll tell you." The only female among the 4 shouted with fear in her eyes. Tang Xiu faintly smiled and his dagger instantly swept over and decapitated the big man in front of him. Then, he walked towards the pretty woman and said, "You can expect to end up thousands of times more miserable than him if what you tell me doesn't make satisfied. Right, I forgot to tell you something. I can do some wizardry art, and the Dark Shaman clan and its patriarch are also my underlings. You can expect that I also have some special interrogation methods to deal with the wizard's cultivation system." The pretty woman couldn't help shivering for a while and hurriedly replied, "He's in Nonagon Bulwark. The master of Nonagon Bulwark paid us a large sum of money for the job. He said that Qin Zhizhong has a special soul, so he wants to refine his soul to enhance his own power. We just received the money for the job and the matter has nothing to do with our Sacred Flame organization." Chapter 1237, Pirates. "Where's this Nonagon Bulwark?" asked Tang Xiu coldly. "I don't know the exact position, but I know how to get there," said the pretty woman. "There's a liner in the biggest port of Saipan going to that place." After squeezing the information about the liner from the woman, he nodded to Qi Nan and motioned for her to release the other 2 men from the Sacred Flame organization. Then, he asked the glamorous woman again, "You should know about the situation in the Nonagon Bulwark, shouldn't you?" The pretty woman felt more at ease upon seeing her 2 companions being released. Tang Xiu's ruthlessness had scared her out of her wits, and she feared that the 3 of them would be killed right after she gave him the desired answer. Therefore, she was no longer reluctant to answer. This Nonagon Bulwark is located in the Pacific Ocean and consists of 9 camps on 9 islands. The islands are very close to each other, so it's called Nonagon Bulwark. "Who occupies this Nonagon Bulwark?" asked Tang Xiu again. "Pirates," the woman answered. "Pirates?" Tang Xiu frowned. It was an answer he didn't expect, so he asked again, "That's quite unexpected to think that the Sacred Flame even accepts a job from pirates. That's really demeaning. The Sacred Flame organization's objective is to make money, to begin with. We don't care whoever gives us the job and whomever the target is as long as the client can pay," the woman answered. "How many people are there in your Sacred Flame organization? And how powerful is it?" inquired Tang Xiu again. The glamorous woman replied with a bit of a proud look, "The strength of our Sacred Flame organization is beyond the imagination of many people. We have 9 grades in our Sacred Flame order. First grade Sacred Flame mission is the simplest, whereas the 9th grade Sacred Flame mission is the toughest, where all members of the whole Sacred Flame organization will appear to complete the job together." A strange expression flashed across Tang Xiu's face as he asked again, "Tell me about the price." "The Nonagon Bulwark gave us $100 million for this job, which corresponds to the 5th grade Sacred Flame mission in the organization," the woman explained. First grade Sacred Flame mission is the lowest priced mission at $100,000, whereas the highest ninth-grade Sacred Flame mission would need $10 billion. Tang Xiu was secretly startled. He didn't expect that the Sacred Flame organization he just heard about demanded the payment of $10 billion for their highest ninth-grade Sacred Flame missions. Were they worth so much money? The alluring woman noticed Tang Xiu's thoughtful expression and suddenly added, "I can still tell you more about that, sir." Ever since the establishment of the Sacred Flame organization, the ninth-grade Sacred Flame orders only happened twice. The first one was issued during the Crusades' Eastern Expedition, where our organization played a huge role in the campaign. Else, all the cultivators in the Eastern Punitive Expedition could have been completely wiped out. The second one was issued about 36 years ago, where we wiped out 14,600 people from the most powerful Dark Camp back then. The Crusaders' Eastern Expedition and the Dark Flag Camp. Tang Xiu had learned about these two major events as well. He didn't expect that the shadow of the Sacred Flame organization was also involved in these two events. In particular was the second event, which was all done by this organization. Suddenly, a wonderful idea crossed his mind. He looked at the alluring woman and asked again, "What's your status in the Sacred Flame organization?" "I'm Karen, the deputy captain of Saipan Battalion," said the alluring woman. "I want to meet the leader of your Sacred Flame organization," Tang Xiu said in a deep tone. "If he can come to Saipan in person, I'll pay $10 billion and issue the third ninth-grade Sacred Flame mission. I give him 7 days to come here. I'll be in Saipan again a week later." The woman looked excited and she hurriedly asked, "Do you really want to issue the ninth-grade Sacred Flame mission?" "That's right." Tang Xiu lightly replied, "I can pay you $1 billion in advance." The alluring woman broke free from the hands of the Tang sect disciple as she stood up and excitedly said, "I'll immediately call Vulcan once the $1 billion deposit is received. He's the leader of Sacred Flame organization. For such a sum of money, our Sacred Flame organization can do anything and even dare to challenge the world's 3 colossuses." Tang Xiu pondered for a moment and suddenly asked, "How many people your Sacred Flame organization has stationed in Saipan? And how many people of your organization can come here in half a day?" "More than 200. All of them are experts," the pretty woman answered. "I'll give you $5 billion additional pay to go with me to the Nonagon Bulwark in half a day. I want to rescue my disciple, Chen Zhizhong, and kill all the pirates there," Tang Xiu said. The woman looked ecstatic and said, "That won't be a problem. As long as you have the money, consider it done. But you need to pay us $5 billion in advance, and we'll start immediately once we receive the money." Tang Xiu turned to Qi Nan and ordered in a deep voice, "Call Xiao Xue immediately and tell her to transfer $5 billion to the account of this organization." "But boss," Qi Nan replied hesitantly. "Do it as I said," cut Tang Xiu. "Understood." Qi Nan helplessly nodded and immediately left after asking the account of the Sacred Flame organization. At the Clearwater and Code site, tens of Tang sect experts sat cross-legged in the courtyard and looked like stone statues, whereas Tang Xiu sat cross-legged on a stone platform while quietly observing figures that kept coming at the speed of lightning. Among them were black, white and Asian descents. "Who are these guys, Karen?" A burly black man with a gigantic build leading tens of experts appeared. He asked in a deep tone with a vigilant look on his face. "They are our employers, Sir Atlas." The black man replied in a deep tone, "The HQ has just received $5 billion for the 2 missions issued. First is to head to the Nonagon Bulwark with the employer to rescue Chen Zhizhong. But what about the second mission?" "I don't know about the second one yet." Karen shook her head. "But they have paid the deposit and issued the 9th-grade Sacred Flame mission to the organization. Sir Atlas, we must go all out to carry out the 9th-grade Sacred Flame mission regardless of the mission issued by the client." The black man's expression changed and he observed the disciples of Tang sect sitting cross-legged in the courtyard. Then, his eyes fell on Tang Xiu and he cupped his fists. Are you the employer? Tang Xiu floated and came to the front of the big black man. He then nodded at him and said, I am. When will your Sacred Flame Organization's members arrive? You must know that another minute wasted means more danger to Qin Zhizhong. Half an hour. We'll set off at most in half an hour. The big black man looked a bit respectful as he was well aware that a client who could pay $10 billion to issue the 9th grade Sacred Flame mission was very likely to have a very terrifying identity. Tang Xiu gave it a thought and asked again, answer me. How did you know where Qin Zhizhong was and then captured him? We used a drop of his blood, the big black man said. A drop of his blood guided us to that barren island in the Pacific Ocean and we found him there. We weren't convinced at the time either. Only when we saw him did we believe such a bizarre thing. Tang Xiu frowned and asked again, where did you get his blood? It was given by the client, the master of Nonagon Bulwark, the black man said. Tang Xiu nodded without a word. He knew that Qin Zhizhong had once been captured and a seal was cast on him. Not only was his memory blurred, but his cultivation also sharply declined to less than 1% of his previous strength. At first, Tang Xiu thought that he had beheaded the culprit already. It turned out now that there was another mystery popping out. After half an hour, over 200 experts from the Sacred Flame Organization had arrived. Tang Xiu secretly observed these people and the overall strength was not that remarkable. The strongest among them was only comparable to the Golden Core stage, many of them were only comparable to the Foundation Establishment stage, and a handful of them was even at the Qi refining stage. At the port, a luxury liner was docked at the dock and a group of strong men was carrying goods on board, whereas many who dressed up like tourists were slowly boarding the ship. Move and exercise control, now. As Tang Xiu issued the order, the experts from the Sacred Flame Organization and the Tang sect rushed towards the luxury liner. Many figures jumped out of the water lightning fast and silently boarded the liner before they disappeared into the cabin. The mess and chaotic situation commenced. After half an hour, all tourists boarding the Linger were concentrated on the deck, while most of the pirates from Nonagon Bulwark on the ship had been killed. The remaining of them were tied up and detained in the hull on the ship. Do these tourists actually take a trip on the pirates' liner? Tang Xiu couldn't help but ask with a strange expression as he watched the hundreds of tourists who were trembling in fear. I just asked about a certain travel agency in Saipan and I suspect that this company belongs to the pirates of Nonagon Bulwark, said Qi Nan. Tang Xiu couldn't help but chuckle and said, I begin to admire the leader of this Nonagon Bulwark pirates now. To think that they can abduct and rob these tourists so openly is quite unexpected. These tourists surely will meet miserable ends once they are taken to the Nonagon Bulwark, huh? It's indeed a very remarkable scheme, Qi Nan replied. True, Tang Xiu said. Quickly after, the captain of the liner was brought to Tang Xiu and forced to kneel. The man glared at Tang Xiu with murderous intent and yelled, You seek your death for daring to offend the members of Nonagon Bulwark. Nonagon Bulwark may be a pirate den, but our strength is beyond your imagination. Members of this Nonagon Bulwark are indeed formidable, boss. Several of them are also practitioners, Qi Nan said. These practitioners may not very strong, but they're just some peripheral members, whereas the core ones rarely leave Nonagon Bulwark. They had better be powerful and worth the money I've spent. Tang Xiu grimly sneered. Otherwise, I'd have become some foolish spendthrift doing this. Chapter 1238, Dealing with Pirates. The luxury liner cruised through the waves and wind and quickly sailed in a vast sea. 4 pirates in the bridge were squatting in a corner with fear evident on their faces. 2 Tang sect disciples were grasping them, while most of the disciples were doing some chores to control of the ship, and some others calmly set up the navigation route. Inside the big entertainment hall, all the tables and chairs had been moved aside and hundreds of tourists were all sitting on the floor, with over 200 members of Sacred Flame Organization standing guard to oversee them. All the communication gadgets had been confiscated and piled up in the middle of the room. Tang Xiu stood in the corridor on the second floor while watching hundreds of tourists. He then lightly said, "All of you don't need to worry or fear us. I inform you that the original crews of this liner, including the waiters, are all pirates. Even the travel agency that provides this liner to you is secretly collaborating with these pirates. If it weren't for us, maybe it won't be long before you will be taken to the pirate's nest and only a miserable and dark life will await you there." "You're lying." A strong-looking and dark-skinned man stood up. Although he was scared of the members of the Sacred Flame organization who were staring at him, he suppressed his fear and said, "I'm the tour guide and I've been working for my travel agency for 4 months. There have been thousands of tourists who traveled on this liner to the islands in the surroundings in these 4 months. Their impression when they returned after the trips were all great." "Are you sure that they were all back to Saipan?" Tang Xiu asked him with raised brows. The man hesitated before answering, "Certainly, they didn't return to Saipan since the liner will stop at Blue Island as the final destination. You need to take other liners from Blue Island if you want to return." "Then, have you seen any of those tourists return to Saipan during the 4 months you work for this travel agency of yours?" asked Tang Xiu again. About this, the man hesitated for a moment before saying, "Although I haven't seen any of them, they left a lot of great reviews for my travel agency. We didn't throw your mobile phones here. Say, if we were to use your cell phone to leave a review about your travel agency, wouldn't it be easy?" asked Tang Xiu again. The man was stunned and didn't reply. "You said that you're the tour guide, so you should have sailed on this liner before, right?" Tang Xiu asked again. "I wasn't assigned for going to sea before." The man shook his head and went on, "I had a clash with my colleague and the director then asked me to lead this trip while relaxing a little." Tang Xiu chuckled and said, "If my guess is correct, the colleague you had a clash with should have a good relationship with your director. Isn't that right?" "How do you know that?" "They indeed are relatives, but only distant relatives." The man hesitated. "Is it that difficult for you to guess it?" Tang Xiu sneered. "Your director didn't ask you to guide the tour but rather pushed you to your death." "No way. I don't buy it." The man shook his head. Tang Xiu turned to Qinan beside him and said, "Take him to find his cell phone and let him call his director." "Understood." Qinan replied and took the man to find his cell phone. Before the man made a phone call, Tang Xiu said, "You just need to say a few things to him. Ask him why he lied to you and then wait to see what he'll say. Also, turn on the loudspeaker so everyone else can hear." The man gave it thought before he nodded and made the call. "Are you already at sea, Chao Hui?" a man's voice asked from the phone. "Why did you lie to me, director?" asked the man loudly. There was no reply from the phone. The silence went on for several seconds before a cold voice replied, "I really don't get how those guys began the operation so early, huh? Chao Hui, since you already know about it, then I won't hide it or sugarcoat it anymore. I let you work in my travel agency and your job was to draw the tourists for me, bastard. Yet your performance has been mediocre compared to your great job in causing troubles. I've long been wanting to kill you, and now I've sent you on board. Enjoy your time well in my hometown after you get there. But don't die too badly since my brothers will definitely make you enjoy more. Maybe your organs can fetch a few more bucks." "What the hell do you mean?" Chao Hui's face instantly paled and growled furiously. A commotion burst out among the hundreds of people in the cabin. They didn't speak immediately, but it didn't take a smart brain to realize that something was indeed wrong. Previously, they didn't believe anything Tang Xiu just said. But after hearing the conversation between Chao Hui and the director of the travel agency, only then did their hearts begin to shake. The voice of the travel agency director came out of the phone again. "What I meant. Of course, you're gonna be dead, but I must still earn some profits out of you. The pirates of Nonagon Bulwark are not just some robbers, but also abduct people to harvest their organs as a part-time job. Relax, buddy. My brothers on the island will take special care of you. You'll suffer more before you die when your organs are being harvested. Fucking bastard. Are you not afraid of retribution? Chow Hui furiously shouted. The travel agency director let out a strange chuckle and said, "Retribution, huh? I've been committing ruthless and heartless shits for several years and never once any retribution came to me. Besides, all of us are pirates and outlaws who always have our lives on the edge. Death is nothing to us. Even if there's retribution, this daddy will greet it happily. But I can guarantee that you'll die faster than me. Much faster." Chow Hui smashed his phone on the floor and slumped. He then turned to look at the tourists sitting on the floor and bitterly spoke, "All the tourists on this liner, Chow Hui, have never done anything evil in this life. I never expected that I've committed such an atrocity without realizing it. But things have come to this point and it's still my fault. I can only say I apologize, that's the only thing I can do." Tang Xiu interjected lightly. "Now you know that you've boarded the ship of these outlaws. But rest your worries, though. We've apprehended all the pirates on this ship. The reason we're still taking you all to sail is that there might be some of you who will notice them in advance. Naturally, we'll let you all go after we've exterminated those pirates. But I hope that you will cooperate with us to supervise each other before that. Remember, do not let anyone secretly hide a cell phone and contact those pirates. We promise." "Sir?" "Who exactly you, sir?" Chow Hui exclaimed, "Are you from the authorities?" "That's right. We're from the authorities." Tang Xiu nodded and said, "I'm under the order of the highest official of Saipan to go to the Nonagon Bulwark to destroy these pirates." Most of the restlessness that hung over the hundreds of tourists eased down a lot after hearing this. Despite so, they began monitoring each other, and whoever dared to make a phone call secretly would be noticed by those in the surroundings. Suddenly, a lean young man in the crowd got up and said aloud, "I have diarrhea and I need to go to the toilet." "Humph, take him." Tang Xiu coldly hummed. Immediately, the nearest two members of the Sacred Flame organization dashed to the front of the young man and directly caught him. "What are you going to do to me?" "I just want to go to the toilet." "Didn't you say that you're from the government? Why are you doing this?" The youth growled angrily. "It's been 2 hours sailing. You said that you have diarrhea, but how can you still endure it after such a long time?" Tang Xiu sneered at him. "That's enough to expose yourself as a pirate mingling among these tourists." "I'm not." The youth struggled and growled. "Search his body," Tang Xiu ordered. A short while after, the two members of the Sacred Flame organization found a pistol and a dagger on the leggings covered by his trousers. The young man instantly looked ghastly pale and suddenly felt like all his strength was sapped from his body. He might have slumped to the floor if it weren't for the two members of Sacred Flame organization holding him. "There should be more than one pirate aside from you here," Tang Xiu sneered. "A body search will be carried out next. Those who are found hiding any weapon on their bodies are pirates and will be executed at once." Just as his voice faded away, 3 young men jumped up from all corners among the crowd and quickly ran towards the nearest corridor to flee and escape from the hall. They knew the location of the speedboat on the ship for escaping. Puff. 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 The Sacred Flames members moved extremely fast and directly killed the 3 young men in just several seconds. Nonagon Bulwark. The first island was named Sunny Island and was famous as a tourist attraction, even though there were only a few tourists who had visited the site. The number of inhabitants on the entire island was only slightly over 1,000 people, but Tang Xiu knew that all of them were pirates and their relatives. These people lived like ordinary people here but only served as a camouflage for the other 8 islands. The next day, in the evening. As the liner approached Sunny Island, a disciple of Tang's sect in the bridge quickly came to Tang Xiu and reported. The enemy is sending a semaphore signal and we've received the reply from the pirates. It's very likely that they are doing it to deceive us while they have prepared to meet us. Now that we've been exposed, might as well exterminate them on the spot, Tang Xiu indifferently replied. Kill everyone on the entire Sunny Island, including their families. Understood. The Tang sect's disciple respectfully nodded. Suddenly, Karen, who stood nearby, hesitantly said, Isn't this way too heartless, Mr. Tang? These pirates may be damned evils, but their relatives are innocent, right? Besides, most of these 1,000+ people are just ordinary people. If you kill them, won't you? They are pirates and all of them are damned. Tang Xiu cut her with indifferent face, then went on coldly. The family of these pirates are also guilty for holding a candle to the devil. Further, can you guarantee their families are really not involved in their atrocities? Chapter 1239, Massacring an Island. The killing such as this one was just a common occurrence back when Tang Xiu lived for 10 millenniums in the Immortal world. It was the world where bloody brutality was just common sight between all walks of life that fought and killed each other. The manifestation of the rules of heavenly Tao, just like big fish preys on small fish and small fish swallow shrimps. Even if you don't resort to killings, some others will come forward to kill you. Those who wanted to live and go further and those who wanted to be stronger must inevitably step on the mountain of corpses, and traverse through the sea of blood to move forward. This island had over 1,000 inhabitants and for the former Tang Xiu, this cruel battle might be less brutal than what had happened to those innocent victims. He valued life, but that didn't mean he must care about the lives of the damned people who deserved death. Those who became pirates were exactly such a group. They must be prepared to be killed by others when they committed the atrocities themselves. Tang Xiu looked at Karen's hesitant expression and said indifferently, I begin to doubt whether the Sacred Flame people are all the kind of spineless and soft-hearted bunch. Now I'm hesitating whether I must issue the 9th grade Sacred Flame mission if you keep your womanly compassion. Your attitude will make it impossible for my plan to be accomplished. Karen's complexion changed. She noticed her companions in the surroundings casting angry looks at her. Her expression turned cold and then said in a deep voice, Mr. Tang, our Sacred Flame organization is similar to a mercenary. We have accepted the job and we will execute it perfectly. Let alone these damned people, we won't even flinch when we must slaughter innocent and poor people. I admit that what I just said was driven by a touch of kindness and compassion. I assure you that this will never happen again in the future since the purpose of our Sacred Flame organization is all for money. That's right. Tang Xiu nodded contentedly and stated. What you're after is money, everything else is secondary. Be steadfast and purely focus on your own crusade for money, and kill whoever prevents you from making money. Money is everything and people would die for fortune. That's just the way to live in this world. A complicated look flashed in Karen's eyes, and she nodded wordlessly. The Sacred Flame's 200+ members looked enthusiastic and stared at Tang Xiu with extreme reverence. Even the black man strode to Tang Xiu's front and excitedly said, I really hope you can join us, Mr. Tang. Your ideas are just in line with the highest objective of our organization. I'll explain to Vulcan myself if you're willing to join. I'll ask him to give you a position of regional administrator. A smile crept up on Tang Xiu's face and he asked with a faint smile, Do you think I'm short of money? The black man held his breath and suddenly looked awkward. Still, he braced himself and insisted. I know you're very rich, Mr. Tang. You can even pay $10 billion to issue a mission for us. I can say that you're the wealthiest client I've ever met. However, I think there's no one who dislikes having more. Not to mention that being able to take out $10 billion doesn't mean that you're the richest man in the world. Could it be that you no longer wish to have more money, wealth, enjoy the best service in the world, and live the most lavish life? Money is that paramount? Seriously? Tang Xiu sneered inwardly. He then replied disdainfully, money and wealth may have great roles for you, but it has no significance in my eyes. You should have investigated Chen Zhizhong's situation before you abducted him, shouldn't you? Do you think he's a rich man? He does have some money, but he's not too rich, the black man replied. According to our findings, the wealth of his endless virtue pharmaceutical company just amounts to $5 billion, give or take. It's not even enough to issue the 9th grade Sacred Flame mission. Without being salty, Tang Xiu replied, Chen Zhizhong is my disciple. An in-name disciple, precisely. For your information, my wealth is at least 100 times that of his, about 1 trillion or more. Do you think I can spend it all in my lifetime? Gasp. The black man gasped, and the over 200 Sacred Flames members around looked at Tang Xiu with disbelief and incredulity, as though they heard the most unbelievable thing in the world. Trillions of dollars in wealth? Who else could have trillions of dollars besides those terrifying super clans? This Mr. Tang should be from China, but they never heard of such a super rich man hailing from this country, ever. Money is indeed a good thing to have, but to me, it's just like mud. Tang Xiu went on, what I seek is strength. You're just very poor, so you still want to pursue wealth and money. But after you have such wealth that you know you won't be able to spend it all, then you will start pursuing strength and the essence of life. We're poor. All the 200+ members of the Sacred Flame wore bitter smiles. Who among them didn't have a net worth of at least several million and even in the billions? Although they were not super rich, they were still better than most people, right? However, they recalled how terrifying this man was and the terrible amount of wealth he had. They could only weakly groan inwardly. I'm indeed very dirt poor compared to this guy. Quickly after, several experts of Tang sect and Sacred Flame stayed behind on the liner, while the rest followed Tang Xiu and landed on the sunny island. Facing the tens of pirates armed with firearms and trigger-happy, the experts of Sacred Flame flickered fast without Tang Xiu's order. Their swords and blades flashed, creating sword images that fluttered everywhere, with bullets flying around yet not injuring anyone at all. The tens of ferocious-looking pirates quickly beheaded, and their bodies were torn apart before quickly meeting their deaths. Kill these pirates as fast as you can. Tang Xiu descended to the shore and ordered loudly, remember, keep a few alive and squeeze from them where Chen Zhizhong is. Whoosh. 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 Figures moved at the speed of lightning and dashed forward towards the island, greeted by hails of gunfire. Qi Nan, who just departed, hurriedly returned and reported. Sect Master, Chen Zhizhong is being detained on the 5th island, called Cloudy Island. I heard that everyone on that island has been driven away by the pirate leader in the past 7 days. A chilling light overflowed in Tang Xiu's eyes, and he shouted coldly, tell everyone to return to the ship. We'll head over to the 5th island at once. After 5+ minutes, those who left the ship had returned and the liner quickly resumed sailing at the fastest speed toward the 5th island, more than 100 nautical miles away. Tang Xiu was fully aware that saving Chen Zhizhong was a race against time. A minute of delay would mean more dangers to Chen Zhizhong. After the fast cruise, Tang Xiu, who was standing on the deck, could see the looming Cloudy Island. However, at this time, liners quickly came from the direction of that island. Tang Xiu then saw a big man in black exercise suit with various weapons on his body standing on the prow of the 4th liner. The liner in front, stop. Else you'll be killed. A loud radio transmission came from the 4 ships. Tang Xiu let out a contemptuous look and said in a deep voice, heed my order, everyone. Ignore their warning and rush directly to exterminate them. Having said that, he grabbed Qi Nan's shoulders and the two of them flew up into the air and bolted towards Cloudy Island. Tang Xiu quickly unleashed his divine sword without hesitation when 4 burly pirates armed with swords flew, and attempted to intercept them. Sword shadows elongated for several hundreds of meters and crushed the 4 burly pirates, leaving them no chance to avoid the strike. What power! The Black Man and the 200-plus members of Sacred Flame immediately gasped upon seeing Tang Xiu's violent strike. They just couldn't figure out why Tang Xiu would spend so much money to hire them despite himself having such fearsome power. A short while after, Tang Xiu and Qi Nan landed on Cloudy Island. Murderous intent was overflowing in their eyes when they saw 13 old men in black robes wielding swords in front. Tang Xiu sneered. The real experts appeared, huh? But you all won't be able to stop us with your strength. Qi Nan, kill them all. Affirmative. A powerful aura burst out from Qi Nan as she unleashed her immortal sword and flashed towards the 13 black-robed old men lightning fast. Her strikes were extremely fast and the strength brought with them was powerful, at least much more powerful than these 13 black-robed old men. Each of her strikes made these 13 people's complexion changed as they found it very difficult to fight her back. Tang Xiu continuously released his spiritual sense. After covering several kilometers radius, he kept flying towards the center of the island. He then saw a bizarre altar within the scope of his perception with Qin Zhizhong hung atop the altar with 13 blades impaling his body. A bald man in front of the altar was kneeling and kept chanting a bizarre incantation. Suddenly, the bald man disappeared and, when he reappeared, he instantly transfigured into a black dragon in front of Tang Xiu, giving Tang Xiu quite a surprise. The next moment, however, Tang Xiu disdainfully sneered and mocked. Humph, a real black dragon can contend with an immortal's strength and I may not be able to fight it. But you transforming into a black dragon is nothing but an ant. Die. The divine sword streaked upward in that instant. Crushing and violent sword light instantly slashed down and split the black dragon's head in a flash. As the black dragon wailed and disappeared, the black-robed bald man flew upside down to the back. Blood sacrifice, formation smelter. The black-robed bald man spurted out a mouthful of blood but, while he was flying backward, his hands kept conjuring seals in the air and his blood gradually condensed into dozens scarlet, blood runes. A trivial skill will never able to make anything significant. It only took Tang Xiu a glance to see through all the mystery of the secret art cast by the black-robed bald man. His divine sword slashed forward and the 10 scarlet blood runes disappeared. In nearly a flash, he then appeared less than 3 meters in front of the bald man. A wizard who can contend with the spirit formation stage, huh? A bit interesting. Chapter 1240, Buying Time. The black-robed bald man, however, was unfazed from beginning to end. His expression remained the same even if the black dragon he had transformed into was destroyed, or when he was blown away and sent flying by Tang Xiu's sword strike. Not even a single trace of uneasiness appeared even when Tang Xiu came to his front. You won't dare kill me, he stated indifferently at the moment he retreated. Tang Xiu frowned and slashed his sword forward, but he instantly tilted the trajectory slightly. The sword light that was supposed to cut off the man's right shoulder changed direction and only severed his right arm. Why wouldn't I dare? Tang Xiu halted his advance and coldly asked, staring at the black-robed bald man tens of meters away. The bald man's brows tightened before he quickly grabbed his severed right arm and pressed it against its stump. A black smoke surged on his right arm and half a minute later, he gently moved his lower right arm. It was obvious that the body part had already reconnected. If I'm not mistaken, Chen Zhizhong is your disciple. I've cast a link hex on him that makes his life and death connected to mine. Tang Xiu, I don't think you'll kill your own disciple, will you? The black-robed bald man stated lightly. Link spell? Tang Xiu had no idea about this kind of link hex or whatever. But his intuition told him that the spell was similar to the life-sharing spell he knew about. Once the caster cast this spell on someone, the caster and the target would share their lives and die together. The death of one would cause the death of the other. What exactly do you want? Asked Tang Xiu indifferently. The black-robed bald man replied with similar indifference, "Let me introduce myself. I'm Helios Luna, a retired elder of the Celestial Wizard clan." I didn't expect that someone from Celestial Wizard clan dares to come out and make a mess outside. Tang Shou sneered. Haven't those assassin organizations all over the world brought disasters to your clan? Can you even see through the heritage and foundation of the Celestial Wizard clan? Helios Luna shook his head and smilingly said, "The reason why I came out is to make you stop putting the bounty reward. It isn't that my Celestial Wizard clan fears to face troublesome things. We just don't bother to care about such mundane things. Anyhow, why are you so sure that I really care about Chen Jizhong's life and death?" Tang Shou asked. "He's just my in-name disciple. I've had you investigated ever since I came outside," Helios Luna said. "You piqued my interest. I even hold a bit of admiration toward you. So young, yet steadfastly standing up for justice and morality with quite a benevolent character. Even though you're very powerful, you still guard China and its people. You have even done a lot of things for your friends. How can a young man who cares about others a lot possibly abandon the life of his own disciple?" Tang Shou let out a mocking smile and said, "You think you really know me, don't you?" "I dare not say that I know you very well," Helios Luna replied, "but I think I can see through your character, at least a bit. I just said that I'm very interested in you because of your cultivation and the force behind you. I'd love to hear it if you'd care to tell me." "You're not qualified to know anything about my heritage." Tang Shou shook his head. Having said that, he didn't bother paying attention to Helios Luna anymore but flew to the altar. He then looked at Chen Jizhong, whose body was impaled by 13 blades. Traces of his blood slid down the blades and finally merged into the inscribed array pattern on the altar that faintly radiated sanguine light. "Moss. Master." Chen Jizhong raised his head in difficulty and, with his blurred eyes, he was barely able to see Tang Shou's face. Tang Shou sighed inwardly and used his spiritual sense to permeate the array pattern on the altar. What he found made the murderous intent in his heart grew more intense. He then shifted at Helios Luna, who followed him and folded his arms while smiling. This array was usually used by evil cultivators and meant to sacrifice and refine souls. Once the person used as the sacrificial offering lost all his blood into the array, their 3 souls and 7 spirits would be ruthlessly extracted out of his body and became the offerings. And once the caster who held the offerings devoured these sacrificed souls, the caster could rob all the cultivation and memory of the victim and made his own power skyrocket. It was an utterly sinister and evil method. Tang Shou had never thought that some people in the Celestial Wizard clan would know this evil hex. He could have understood it if it was in the Immortal world since there were countless practitioners, and the widely spread magical arts over there. But this place was Earth. Those who could study this evil spell could be called as peerless fiends because they should have done cruel experiments with countless creatures and souls. Listen carefully about the secret art I'm about to teach you. Give your all to cultivate it and make the best use of time as much as you can. You'll be able to make up for the lost life force and even obtain enormous benefits. Tang Shou transmitted his voice to Chen Jizhong's ear. After seeing him blink his eye as a sign, he then transmitted the secret art to him. Tang Shou then shifted to look at Helios Luna and said, "I can honestly say that your investigation and analysis of my personality are on the mark. Let's talk about the deal now. What do you want from me before you let my disciple go?" Helios Luna smacked his lips and grinningly said, 3 conditions. Meet them and I'll release your disciple and guarantee that my Celestial Wizard clan will never oppose you again in the future. State them. Tang Shou nodded. The first condition is about the Dark Shaman clan, Helios Luna said. They are traitors to my Celestial Wizard clan and their entire clan must be punished. You must remain silent when many experts from my clan move to exterminate them. Singluan is my friend and I'm the one who helped him become the patriarch of Dark Shaman clan. Tang Shou sneered. No, I get it now. The previous Sacred Flame group who came to the Dark Shaman clan and invited them to capture Qin Shizhong should be one of your plans, shouldn't it? If the Dark Shaman clan were to get involved, then they would become my enemy, meaning that you wanted to use my hand to get rid of the Dark Shaman clan. Helios Luna raised his thumbs up and exclaimed, the information I've gathered about you seems to be true, Tang Shou. You're really smart, even smarter than I thought. I did really want to use your hand to get rid of them, the traitors of the clan. Unfortunately, they were wary of the Sacred Flame organization and refused to get involved. It was really a good scheme, indeed. Tang Shou sneered. Helios Luna went on, so, do you or do you not accept the first condition? Tang Shou pondered for several minutes and replied with an ugly expression, I agree, though I'm reluctant. But if the next demands you state makes it difficult for me to decide, you can expect that I'd rather have my disciple die here and refine your own soul to become a spirit artifact. You can expect to endure endless suffering for eternity. Helios Luna's eye lit up and smilingly said, then, about the second condition. I need 3 spirit weapons since you can manufacture it. I can't manufacture any magic weapon for the time being. Tang Shou shook his head and said, a soul must be extracted for each refinement. I can't do it. Helios Luna slowly turned around, pointed to the seaside and sneered. I won't force you to extract someone's soul since I know about your personality. But that won't be a problem for you if I'm the one who extracts it from some others, right? I have many pirates here, and there are also a lot of those from the Sacred Flame. Don't you forget that these Sacred Flames people were the ones who captured your disciple, so you don't have a problem with me taking their souls, right? They are just machines whose objective is to get money. Tang Shou lightly replied, the one responsible for this farce is not them, but you alone. If I have to kill anyone, killing you is the best way to vent my anger. Then use my people. Helios Luna stated again in a deep tone. I agree to refine you 3 spirit magic weapon as long as you give me the souls, Tang Shou said. But you must provide all the materials needed to make them. Helios Luna didn't even ask Tang Shou what materials needed and directly complied. What about the third condition? Asked Tang Shou. A manual of cultivation art that can be practiced up until ascending to become immortal, Helios Luna smilingly said. I know that the Chinese Taoist school attaches great importance to the inheritance of the sect, but I have to get it. In fact, even if you don't trade with me, I can also get it, though the means would be far crueler and bloodier. Tang Shou's complexion became very ugly. After hesitating for a while, he said, I will need to discuss this with the elders in my section. If they agree, then it won't be a problem. But if they don't, then I can only sacrifice my disciple and exact revenge for him. Have it your will. Helios Luna accepted it offhandedly and smilingly said, but I must warn you in advance that your time is running out. If you don't give me a reply within 2 days, Qin Shizhong will be completely refined while still being alive until he dies. There's no use for you to regret anything at the time. 2 days, huh? Tang Shou inwardly sneered. Although Qin Shizhong's talent was just average, it would only take him half a day to learn the secret art he just taught him. By then, this bastard would no longer act this rampant and arrogant. In the distance, the experts of Sacred Flame and Tang sect were going all out to commit slaughter on the island. The island itself had many inhabitants, many of whom were also wizards. However, their strength was just mediocre, so it was easy for the 2 sides to kill them. Tang Shou could tell that Helios Luna didn't even care about the life and death of these pirates. Those 3 conditions and the promise he gave him were the most important things in his eyes. Whoosh! A figure flickered and moved at the speed of lightning and quickly appeared in front of Tang Shou. Chi Nan, who was covered with blood and looked a bit pale, respectfully reported, we've removed all the enemies, boss. Stand guard here to watch over Qin Shizhong. Tang Shou nodded at her in response and said, I'll make a call first. Understood. Chi Nan nodded. After taking a holy healing pill Tang Xiu gave her, she then looked at Helios Luna and watched him over vigilantly like an enemy. Tang Xiu flew away for a few kilometers before he grabbed his cell phone and dialed Singluan's number. Then, he spoke, the retired elder of Celestial Wizard Clan, Helios Luna, has a plan to massacre your Dark Shaman clan. I just talked to him, and one of the conditions is that I must no longer aid you.